Oh, God, I keep forgetting. Shit, I wanted to do that today. I wanted to stream this today. Shitting hell. Wait. Hold on. I might not even be able to show this. I might show you guys something cool. Hold on. I'm not sharing my screen, right? BetaFPV. BetaFPV sent me something cool. Yeah. Is this out yet? Looks like it is. Come on. Let's just make sure. Okay, it is out yet. It is out already. BetaFPV sent me this little guy. Lite Radio 2 Sim. I didn't realize that it said Sim on it. I didn't realize they were sending me something Sim-based. I think that means that it doesn't have a transmitter in it. It does not. It's just USB. So they sent me a PlayStation controller. I don't know. Oh, it's only $18. So this is only 18 bucks. And so I guess if you want to get somebody into FPV and you want to be totally cheap about it, 18 bucks will do it. That's pretty slick. That is pretty cool. But I don't know. I mean, you kind of just want to get a transmitter, right? Like, you should just get a real transmitter and then you can sell it. No, you'll lose more than $19. Yeah, you'll lose more than $19. So yeah, if somebody like wants to try FPV on the ultra cheap, that's a way to do it. $19. Damn, that's cool. So next time we do Sim Sunday, I will use that and we'll give it a shot. We'll give that a try. See what's going on with that. I think that's it. I have a gig next weekend in Alabama for a charity car rally, which should be interesting. So I think it's Friday. I think next Friday there won't be a stream, but Sunday there will. I'll be back on Saturday night, and so Sunday there'll be a stream. Mike K says, my props I ordered from Amazon are going to be a week late. I just contacted customer support and they're sending me total replacement. What's total replacement mean? What's total replacement mean in that reference? They're sending you the entire order again, so you're going to get double the amount of props. That's pretty cool. Looks like Mark got banned by Denzel the Terrible. Okay. Whoop Fox says, you reminded me, I got a Hummingbird V4 coming in Friday. Anything I should change out or E6000? Hummingbird V4, no. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, the canopy. The Hummingbird V4 canopy is giant and very heavy, and it's not even actually all that strong. So a 3D printed canopy is going to be a huge improvement. So it's the BeeEye, well, I don't know which BeeEye camera it's going to come with. I don't know if it's going to come with the new BeeEye camera, or which is smaller, or the old BeeEye camera. And so I don't know what molded canopy. I don't think there are any molded well, yeah, I think you're going to be on a 3D printed canopy whether you like it or not. The Quad 66 canopy is excellent. And then depending on which, well, the BriBrain. There are two different versions of the BriBrain. There's a big and a small. The big is going to be for the old school, bigger BeeEye camera. The regular BriBrain is going to be for the smaller, more standard, new generation BeeEye camera. And so, yeah, you're gonna want to switch that camera mount out. You'll see when it comes in. The camera mount is pretty nasty. Shay FPV Bruno says, what's the best bind and fly 65? No such thing as best. There's just different. My personal favorite at the moment is the Mobula8 2024, followed pretty closely, actually, by the Hummingbird V4. And then taking up the rear is the BetaFPV. What are they even calling it now? Air 65? But the problem with the beta stuff at the moment is that pretty much all of their flight controller AIOs are super, super, super fragile, which is just maddening because they're very lightweight, and they've got black box on board. But you know, it's if something breaks after 20, 30, 40 batteries, that's a complete deal breaker, right? Like that's like $2 a battery if that's a bind and fly. $3 a battery. That's kind of insane. So Mobula8 2024 is the move, in my opinion. That's me personally. I like a bunch of very specific things about it. You might not. Everybody's a little bit different. But yeah, all I can say is that that's my favorite. One of the links over on CiottiFPV.com is to Fiverr. Fiverr is a spot where you can just basically buy people's time. I mean, you can hire people. And the way I have it set up is that you can buy a half an hour, an hour of my time. One of the services that I offer on there is build planning. We talk for 10 to 15 minutes about like what you're going to be doing with the quad, what you're going to be doing with the footage, what kind of flying you want to do, where you want to fly, all this stuff. I need answers to all of those questions to be able to really like pinpoint, hey, this is the perfect rig for you. Without answers, you know, without that 10 or 15 minutes of bouncing ideas back and forth, I have no clue what is best for you, right? And so Mob6 2024 is best for me personally. That's the best that I can, that's the best way that I can possibly answer that question that you asked. That makes sense? You Can FPV says, great for kids. Yeah. Yeah, you know, it is a smaller little, yeah, that's true. Keep your kids' dirty hands off your, you know, proper transmitter. Spend $18 on the Lite Radio 2 Sim. Good call. That's perfect for kids. Shay FPV Bruno said, but here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with that. Oh wow, it's more expensive than I thought. Okay. This used to be, didn't this used to be, I think at one point this was $30. So this is the same thing. It's the BetaFPV Lite Radio, same case, same buttons, same gimbal, same everything, but there's a transmitter built in, and you can use this for the sim as well. So like, but it looks like it's now $50. So 18 versus $50. Yeah, okay. The sim version of the controller is does make a lot of sense. When I thought this was only $30, it was kind of like, well, you should definitely spend $12 more and get something with a transmitter built in. But yeah, that's not true. Shay FPV says, so you don't wear out a good controller. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Brian Kirk says, does that sim controller need a battery or run from the USB cord? Good question. I didn't hold the power button to see. I'm holding the power button and nothing's happening, so I guess it runs off of the USB. Let's see. USB plug. Yep. And then, I mean, the battery could be dead, but boy, it's awful light. I don't... Oh. Hold on, let me give you the full experience that I just had. So, this is where the batteries go on the regular Lite Radio. So I was like, oh yeah, there it is. But it's just a backing plate on there. That's funny. Yeah, no, there's no battery in here. It's way too light for there to be a battery, and I don't think they'd be able to sell it for $18 with actual. I mean, these gimbals feel okay. So yeah, I mean, you're only ever going to run it off the USB anyway, so I don't know why they would put a battery in it. You know what I mean? Other than, like, I don't know, I guess if you have too many things plugged into USB. They also sent me a couple of the Air 65 V2 frames. When they asked me if I wanted to review that, I said, yeah, I would also love to review the Air 75 V2 frame. You sent me the Air 65 V2 frame, and I've been very impressed, blah, 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 blah. And they said, awesome, we'll send you a couple of the Air 75 V2 frames. And then they clicked the wrong button. So I still don't have any Air 75 V2 frames, which is, you know, is what it is. I will get one at some point for that Tree Topper 1S build, and it'll fly a little bit better. Jason Levin says, I ordered that BetaFPV sim controller because I fly the sim 3 to 5 hours a day and I get sick of my batteries dying, plus I'm saving wear and tear on my radios. For the record, one of the ways to keep your transmitter batteries from dying, I feel like I shouldn't tell you this now that you ordered one of the damn things already, but make a model in here and call the model sim, and in that model turn off the power to your module, and then the batteries will like last forever because it's just powering the LCD screen or whatever. But you've got one on the way now, so you don't have to worry about it. What else we got here? Whoop Fox says, oh, wait, no. ShayFPV Bruno says, by best, I mean durability. The most durable 65mm bind and fly. It's an interesting question. I think it's the Mobula 6 2024. It would be the old school Mobula 6 with the 2G4 AIO in it. But they don't sell that anymore. Well, you know, the Hummingbird V4, I'll say this. This was the last rig that I started flying at Castle Crash. I don't know how many batteries I put it through it, but this was the only build that survived Castle Crash. The Mobula 6 2024 that I had there was the version 1 with direct soldered motors, and as per my normal experience with direct soldered motors, at some point one of the wires broke off. So it didn't like break per se, but I had to stop flying it. The Hummingbird V4 put up with a lot of abuse at Castle Crash, and it survived. The Mobula 6 2024 technically did not. So, I don't know. One of those two. One or the other. The Hummingbird V4 is going to kind of lock you in to newbie drone motors a little bit because they use these smaller JST plugs. That's about it. The OSD can kind of flicker on and off a little bit. It's not that bad though. Mobula 6 2024, well, okay, so the Hummingbird V4 is going to come with the NX69 connector, so you're going to have to get NX69 batteries for it. The Mobula 6 2024 is going to come with an A30 connector, so you can run BT 2.0 batteries through it. I mean, not much of a difference there, but those are the differences. You'll love either one. Whoop Fox says, I'm using a BeeEye V2 camera in an Air 65 canopy. I could use that. What? I'm using the BeeEye V2 camera in an Air 65 canopy. I'm confused. You're already doing that? Tag me again and ask them that question differently. I don't understand. I don't understand what you're asking. right. Craig says, what is the name of 3D canopy you put on the Hummingbird V4? Didn't see it on your Etsy. Does it come low angle? So this is Quad 66's canopy. If you go to like most of Quad 66's videos, probably all of his videos, there's a link to buy me a coffee, and you can download this. Send him a couple bucks. Send him $1, $2, $3, whatever, as a thank you for this. Technically, you can just hit 0 and you can download it for free. But yeah, it's an awesome canopy. It's really lightweight. He put these little tiny. Sure wish BetaFPV had done this. He put like so the barrel is round, and then on the cameras where the lens fits, it's square. And he put these little notches in there to catch those corners of the squares so that the camera doesn't rotate. Just brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. The only problem I'm having with this canopy is that this BeeEye, I think this is one of the older BeeEyes with the bigger back part. The lens was a little too short, so I just had to trim a little bit out of the front. No big deal. After a whole bunch of really hard crashes, the camera did start to move back just a little bit. It was super obvious because all of a sudden I could see purple around the in the borders of my view. And so that's fine. I mean, you just take it and push it back forward. If it really bothered you, you could just put a little dab of E6000 on the top of you to be good to go. But yeah, this canopy is really awesome. It pushes the camera forward, so there's no ducts in view, which is neat. The only potential problem with that is that you're pushing a bunch of weight a little bit forward, so it's going to make the front motors work a little bit harder. You could argue that the front motors get the clean air, so the rear motors typically have to work harder. So the fact that there's more weight on the front might actually kind of even that out. The mount works really great. The other mount that I love, though, in fairness, is the BriBrain mount, which is this one that's on my the race version here. And yeah, this is a good one as well. This is on Thingiverse. You can download that for free from Thingiverse. Nice bug hat, by the way. Oh, and the Quad 66 canopy, I have it on the lowest up tilt right now, and that looks like 15-ish degrees. It's got 2 extra holes on here that will pull the angle back. So my guess would be, this might actually be like 10 degrees. So like maybe 10, 20, 30 would be the up tilts on this guy, is sort of my guess. I mean, Bennett says, howdy, sir. Hope all is well. Hope you enjoyed Calcer Crash. Yeah, man, I had a blast. Everybody had a blast. This year's Calcer Crash was great. Kevin Sumner says, the most durable 65mm rig or any rig is the one you don't fly. Yeah, the one that sits on the shelf. Warren Upshot says, I just swapped the pigtail on a Hummingbird I won from iGao. You think that an NX69... You think that's an NX69? How can I distinguish it from PH2? Super easy. Good question. PH 2.0, the pins are square. NX69, they're very obviously rectangles. They're the same width as the square. The NX6, if the PH 2.0 pins are like this, the NX69 pin is basically like that. It's the same width, but then it's a whole bunch taller, and that's how they get the extra contact patch, right, for less resistance and all that jazz. So yeah, let me see if I might be able to show you. Yeah, you should be able to see. If I hold this down here, I get this angle just right. That's awful dark. Let's try and expose for my hand. Oh, you rat bastard, you. Come on. You can do this. Yep, there you go. There it is. See how they're big slots? They're not little tiny pinholes. There you go. That's what NX69 looks like. Same, the outer part of the plug is exactly the same here. But it's those pins, and it's very noticeable. Very, very noticeable rectangle versus... square versus rectangle. Whoopfox says, I asked about the V4 Hummingbird, and you said to change the canopy. As of now, I have BeeEye V2 cam in an Air canopy. Think using that canopy would be a good replacement. Ah, okay, gotcha. Yes, the Air canopy grabs the lens, and the BeeEye camera uses the standard lens size. So yeah, the Air canopy will absolutely work. The Air canopy it's nice and lightweight. Boy, is it not super durable though. It's not durable, but it's not durable, if that makes sense. And so it'll totally work, but I like the BeeEye a lot better. The TPU, TPU BeeEye canopy is really lightweight. Unbelievably strong. The design of that canopy is really, really cool. So yeah, do that, in my opinion. All right, I'm caught up on chat. Let's dive into... Oh, no, that's not the right one. Let's dive into canopy land. All right, so this is the canopy that I've kind of settled on for the 2-inch builds, and I have it almost all the way put together. And so this is the one that I linked over in the Discord. This is what it looks like. It's got a really nice hole in the back that's kind of designed for a regular antenna to stick through, right? Like this size is meant for, you know, one of these guys, like a regular whip antenna to stick through there. But a regular ORT absolutely does clear. You know what's really annoying though? This is a regular 50 millimeter ORT micro V. My custom made 46 millimeter ORTs are exactly not long enough. So if you're going to do this canopy, you actually can't use my 46 millimeter ORT micro Vs, which is kind of insane, but it is what it is. Yeah, so there's the Flywoo housing, which has the bayonet mounts, which will properly work with their ND filters. And yeah, this mount is so this TPU with this plastic housing is 4.5 grams. These two screws, I did not weigh, so we're probably at like, I don't know, 5 grams with the screws on there. And then when you put the ND filter on, that's going to add maybe like another gram or so. So this is a heavy canopy setup. The other problem is going to be that they use these giant holes to go down into the frame here. So I'm going to have to find like a little bit of a washer because the screws that I use for these builds have tiny little heads on them. Come on, there we go. See, tiny little head. And so yeah, I got to find a little spacer that's going to work there. I got this set up like this right before the live stream. That's why I was a minute late. And I didn't have time to actually shoot screws down there. But let's do that now because I want to give you guys a all-up weight on this thing. Let's take a look here. Oh, I just found another silica packet. Hell yeah. I've run out of silica packets. I've been saving them for like the better part of 20 years. But I just finally ran out. So what do I have here in the way of washers that might work? The problem's going to be I have a terrible feeling that all the washers I have are going to be too big. The inner diameter, I think, is going to be too big. Shit, man. I might have to like literally order M1.2 washers. Oh, for Christ's sake. Well, let me grab one of these, and this will be easy to figure out. Yep, too big. Shit. Okay. Oh. The, I don't know if this is going to be too big, though. This is a Happy Model motor washer. Oh, you know what? This is actually going to be too small, isn't it? So this is for a 1mm motor shaft. I bet you these M1.2 screws are going to be 1.2 millimeters. And they're going to be too big for this guy, aren't they? Let's see. Hold on. Actually, I think it might work. But I don't know if it's going to... Yep, it fits on there, but it's not... Well, yeah, okay, it's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit bigger. It might be big enough to catch on there. It's all I've got. So let me dig around for a couple more of these. I've taken apart tons of Happy Model motors, and so I have like absolute loads of these. So let's see. Let's get nasty here. Let me actually check real quick to make sure that these are the M1.2 by 14 screws. They might not be. Hold on. I might not want to use these screws. So I've got on the Etsy store M1.2 by 14s and M1.2 by 12s. And so let's have a quick gander here. All right, let's see. And derpa. So that's going to be in this little bag. Let's see. I'm 1.2 by 14. With these double stack tiny whoops, it's really important to use the longest screws that you can find. These M1.2 by 14s are the longest ones that I've been able to find. Let's see. And I had to buy 100 of them. Oh, God, yeah, okay. So I've been using M1.2 by 12s. I'm going to switch it up to the 14s. The reason being is when you double stack on these plastic tiny whoop frames, they put a whole bunch of stress on those little plastic posts that come up out of the frame that you put the screws down into, and you can really easily either strip them out or just rip the plastic posts all the way off. If you run screws that are long enough, you can go all the way through. So there's usually like a flat piece of plastic, and then there's the plastic post on top of that. It's like a cylinder. It's like a hollow plastic cylinder on top of that. If you get screws that are long enough, they'll run all the way down through that plastic cylinder, through the flat piece of plastic on the bottom that's molded into, and that's when it gets really, really, really strong. And the screw will like go all the way down through that flat plastic piece, and you're never ripping that plastic piece off. You can always rip that cylinder off. But yeah, there you go. So I need magnification because I'm going blind. Let's move this out of the way here. And I just need to find 2 more of these Happy Model motor washers. Usually there's a ton of them floating around up here on my bench, but it looks like I might have cleaned up at some point. So hold on. Let's go in here and take a look. I should have a ton of them in here in one of these little cubes. Or maybe I put them somewhere else. Where the hell did I put all that? Yep, here they are. There's a million of them in here. All right, so I've already got 2. There's 3. And there's 4. Well, that's interesting. There's different thicknesses. Hold on. I'm going to use the thicker ones. Hopefully I have 4 of them. Hold on, let's see. Yep, there's another thick one. There's a little nylon one. All right, I need one more thick one. Come on. Nope. Thin one. Oh, come on now. Ugh! I try to do double duty with these, and then it's a pain in the ass. So hold on, let's just get some of these fuckers out of the way. There's one. There's one. I can tell. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we've got 4 thick bitches. Let's get this out of here. All right, so that's the M1.2 by 12. All right, so we've got thick one, thick one, thick one, thick one. So these 2 guys can go back in there. All right, good to go. Put these BT 2.0s back in here. I probably don't need this many. I can probably put some of these BT 2.0s onto the to the Etsy. Although I think I still have BT 2s in stock on the Etsy, so once they go out of stock, I'll go digging around for more. All right, so we're switching up to the M1.2 by 14. That's going to really help with durability here. And I'm going to use these stupid little tweezers again. And again, I don't actually know. I did all this without checking if with these washers it's going to be big enough. I'm still sort of just assuming. Let's take a look. I think everything's looking good. Let's just fire this down through here and see what the hell happens. Yep, it looks like it is going to be big enough. So, oh, dude, I'm going to have tons of thread engagement here too. Wow, this actually might be too long. Hold on. Holy hell. Well, so this is a Mobula8 frame, and those plastic posts are like extra tall on this frame. Good God, there's a ton of thread engagement going on here. I think this is actually going to be too long. That's kind of insane. All right. Let's see if it bottoms out on the plastic, on the flat plastic part. So the only thing about these M1.2 by 14s is that they don't have the pointy tip on the bottom. Oh, shit. Oh, wait, no. Okay, so that's just it bottoming out. Yeah, okay. So these are actually too long. I'll be damned. M1.2 by 12 it is. All right, let's back this all the way out, and then we'll switch back over. Okay, that's a little bit annoying. So the grommet situation that I've got here is a regular oh wait, but no, I have double tall grommets for this. Yeah, shit, you don't need these M1.2 by 14. I don't think you want these M1.2 by 14s. Because unless you're running a frame that has open holes. So what I could do is drill this hole out at the bottom. And this is really what I should do. Is drill this hole all the way through so that I could run this longer screw all the way down through the flat plastic like what I was talking about. Oh man, it really won't take very long to do that. I think I'm going to do that. Let me see if I have a drill bit that's the right size for that. So I bought at one point this super handy little kit of drill bits from 1.05 millimeters to 2 millimeters. So let's take a look at the 1.05 and see. I don't know why I took the magnifiers off, because I can't see shit without them. So let's see what this 1.5 looks like in there. Oh man, I would kind of need like a 1 millimeter. Holy shit. Yeah, I don't think I'm drilling this out. I kind of have to drill it out from the top because I don't know how to line it up from the bottom. Damn it. That's a shame. Yeah, no, that drill bit is thicker than the screw, so I can't use that. So yeah, in order to drill this out, really what I would want is like a 0.95 millimeter bit. And I don't have that, so... But there you go. That's the right way to do it. Buy a... Oh, I'm so stupid. I absolutely have a 0.9 something drill bit. I've sold like 50 of them on my fucking Etsy store. Oh boy, that's funny. This is a 0.99 millimeter drill bit. But see, no, it's still too big. God damn it. Yeah, no, this is still too big. You would need a 0.95. Yeah, nope. Not it. Not the one. Yeah, that won't go down there without like opening the hole up, and then the threads are going to be a mess. Oh well. We're going to use M1.4 by 12, wherever the hell they are. I mean, as much of a waste of time as that was, it's kind of okay because we learned. Where'd they go? Here they are. All right, so I think I said M1.4 a second ago. I meant to say M1.2. M1.2 by 12 is what we're going to use here. And that's what I have been using on these, and I haven't had any issues. So, should be fine. All right, back into it. All right, come on now. There we go. And let's try this again. Okay. Here's that. And there's that. Right, when you're doing this, when you're sending the, especially on these double stacks, when you're sending these screws down, it's really important, and it's really easy to, well, it's really important to not have this happen. It's really easy to put the screw in between the post and the rubber grommet. So if the screw is going in there a little bit too easy, that's probably what's happened. You need to catch that. Oh boy, this does not have a lot of engagement in that hole. Yikes. I don't know about this. I don't know about this. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to stack two. Yeah, I'm going to stack two washers. Yeah. I got this. Check it out. All right, here's what we're going to do. I don't know why the hell they made this. Oh, that's the wrong fucking camera. I don't know why they made these holes so goddamn big. Like, did they think we were going to run an M3 screw down through here? What's the deal with that? I'm going to put a second bigger washer on here to make absolutely sure that we have enough strength in where it's kind of contacting in there. So let's bust out this little guy again. And so I have a shitload of these like really thin M2 washers. Let's see if this is the right size. Oh no, it's too big. God damn it. So this is too big. What did they design this? What is this? What size is this designed for? That's super weird. I mean, in theory, there's not really going to be any upward force on the canopy, and we're going to have 4 of these things pushing down on it, so it should be fine. But this is a weird... I'll tell you what they designed it for. I'll just grab an M2 screw and drop it down in there. I'm assuming they designed it for the head size of M2 screws. They did indeed. Well, it's actually a little bit bigger. But you can get M2 screws with different size heads on them. So yeah, like a bigger headed M2 screw is kind of what they appear to have designed that for. You know, there's also... there are also M1.2 screws with the bigger heads on them. That's probably what it was designed for. But boy, are they hard to find. And I've never been able to find them in 12 millimeters long. So we're just going to use these little motor spacers. I hate to, man, I wish I could find a better solution, because I don't know how many of you guys have pulled apart enough Happy Model motors to have enough of these little motor washers. Although, when you pull apart a Happy Model motor, there are 2 of these little washers. So, if you've broken 2 Happy Model motors at any point, you'll have 4 of these. So hopefully you're good to go. Otherwise, you're going to have to spend $20 in Happy Model motors to get these little washers. Or maybe you just need to find M1.2 washers, and that should be all you need. All right, so that's in there. And let's keep going here. I'm super interested to see what the all-up weight is going to be on this guy, because boy, this canopy setup is a lot heavier than the previous one. This thing had all the power in the world, though. One of the ways to make sure that you're not putting the screw in between the plastic post and the rubber grommet is just to push down on it. If you push down on it and it doesn't go anywhere, it's in the plastic threads. And so just give it a little push there, and then you'll be fine. All right. That one's not tight, but I'll come back around and snug them all up. Next one here. Again, these M1.2 by 12s are over on my Etsy store, as are the by 14s. But I don't think you want to run a by 14 unless in this exact, if you're going to do this exact setup, unless for some reason you're sitting taller than I am, which I don't think you will be. This is sitting pretty tall as it is. It's got a tall grommet on both the flight controller and the VTX. All right. There we go with that. I will say this, the hole in this canopy for the screw to go through, it's sized for like M2 or maybe even M2.5. And so what that's gonna do potentially is allow this canopy to kind of move front, back, left, and right a little bit, which is not the best. One of the really nice things about these Mobula8 O4 canopies is that the screw hole is the perfect size. The screw actually threads into that, so it sticks in there, which is pretty slick. But yeah. Again, pushing down just to make sure that I've got the screw going into the plastic, the threads of the plastic post, rather than in between the plastic post and the rubber grommet. When that happens, you can usually see it. Like, you'll see the rubber grommet like deform from a screw being driven into it. Oh no, see that's solid. Okay, now it's fine. It's fine. And I don't even have these cranked down yet. So let's get these tightened up a little bit here. And I think this is A-okay. All right. The trick to I get a lot of questions like, hey, how tight do I crank down the screws in the canopy? My little kind of rule is you tighten it until you see the rubber grommets start to kind of squish a little bit. You don't want to go much beyond that. You don't want to like totally deform these rubber grommets, because then you're going to like smash the two boards too close together. And so, yeah, just crank them down, and there'll be a point where you see that rubber start to like mushroom out, and that's a perfect place to stop. And so the back one is not deformed quite yet. There it goes. It's just squishing out a little bit. You can also take a little screwdriver, put it onto the PCB, and just push down on the PCB. If you push hard, it'll separate from the canopy. That's okay. I wasn't pushing very hard just now to get it to do that. Okay, that's a little bit better. You don't want that to happen. You don't want the PCB to be able to vibrate away from the canopy. And so if that's happening, you probably want to give it a little bit more. Probably want to tighten it a little bit more. This becomes important on these, if nothing else, than to get your camera flat. If you have it off enough left to right, your camera can literally be slanted in there, and that'll really kill your flying. Okay. There we go. That's looking pretty good. I also have to make sure that the VTX is not hitting this plug header here. And I've got like the tiniest little bit of a gap in there. So I'm gonna stop there. I'm not gonna crank that any tighter, especially in the front. That's probably about good. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's solid on there. That doesn't move. What's that clicking sound though? There's a little click. What's that click? It's only when I push it in the one direction. That's weird. What I was talking about earlier in terms of like an inverted crash, if I push down on this, it doesn't push into the camera. When I push down on this one, this Flywoo one, trying to get a gap there. Ready? See that? See how it pushes direct? I can feel it. It pushes right into the top of the camera, and that's going to try to break that really fragile connector off on the top of the camera. You don't want that. That's no good. Yeah, see how that deforms? See how that just squishes outwards there? This doesn't do that. This dumps the energy into these vertical pieces, and then it pushes the entire canopy down. That's what you want. So I think even though this is 0.7 of a gram heavier, I think this is definitely going to be the way to go. Let's put the ND filter on here and see what this damn thing weighs. Look at this, man. Look at this ORT hanging out in there. No way for that to get down into props. Nice little setup. I will admit, this canopy has a hole here for the antenna, which will put the antenna upwards at a 45-degree angle. I would definitely prefer that over this setup, which hangs the antenna out the back here. You know, I like to get the antenna up at a 45-degree angle so that when you're flying along with like 30 degrees of up tilt, the antenna is sticking up like this. This will work. The antenna, the most important thing to do is to get the head of the antenna away from all of these PCBs. That's the most important thing, and this absolutely does that. This is going to protect this antenna a little bit better because it's back here. So this should totally be fine, but in a perfect world, like, even if this little back piece was like rotated up at a 45-degree angle, that would be even better. But this is totally fine. Let me clean this ND filter. I got this thing disgusting. I got it gross on the inside too. I was really trying to not do that. All right, come on here. Dave S says bro will evolve and start designing canopies one of these days. If you're talking about if I'm bro, I will not. One of, if not the most difficult things about doing FPV as a full-time job is time management. And one of the best ways to help with that I've found is to control control myself and control the things that I get into. When I started chasing those RC drift cars around, all I wanted to do was buy and or build one of those RC drift cars. But no, terrible idea. When it came to 3D printing, I resisted 3D printing for a long time. Now that I am 3D printing, I absolutely notice a chunk of time that gets kind of sort of wasted fucking around with 3D printing stuff. Time that I need to be putting into... I don't need... Well, yeah, I kind of do need to be putting into FPV. And so I got to be really careful. Just in general, like, you know, there's only so much time in the day for all of us. But B, I get carried away with stuff. And so I have to be super, for both of those reasons, I got to be really, really, really careful with what stuff I get into. And like, basically what it comes down to for me is if I'm super interested in something, like if I look at something, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I like very quickly say like, no, stop it. Because those are the things that I get way carried away with. West Coast swing dancing, couples dancing last year, started to kind of turn into that a little bit. And I have not really done it all that much, if at all, since then, because I just kind of got carried away. I still teach the class every Sunday, but I don't go during the week anymore, and that's okay. I'm actually really happy that I was able to catch myself on that and be like, yo, bro, take it easy. You have a life that demands a bunch of time elsewhere. Doing, a private lesson on Tuesdays before the live stream, driving 30 minutes every Wednesday, driving another 30 minutes every Saturday, that's a bit much. Like, there's a lot of responsibilities around the house with the kids, with Maggie, and like at some point, hopefully, Maggie and I will be able to do that together, and then maybe instead of and she comes with me most Sunday nights, so that's why Sunday night shall remain forever. With her getting this chair of health sciences job, it's looking like it's just going to be Sundays for like another year, however long that lasts, and that's fine. That's fine if that's what it is. But at some point, I would love like one more day a week to actually be able to go with her, to get better at it. And but yeah, also like it was nice to have something that I didn't get. It was nice to kind of get obsessed with something, catch it pretty quickly, and back myself off like an actual functioning human being here on Earth. And so yeah, I got to be super careful with that. That's just like the type of person that I am is the type of person that gets really carried away with stuff. And the really negative part about that is that I have a tendency to tie my enjoyment very closely with how good I am at something, and that's not great. 51.1 grams. This thing is fat. Jesus, 51.1. But I knew that was going to happen, And so I've got the ultra lightweight version, which the antenna unfortunately broke off of, so I need to solder a new antenna on. This is going to be, so camera, well, here, I'll pull this antenna out. This guy, wow, what a difference. 34.6, jeez. Okay, so 15-gram difference between the 1.6-inch prop O4 build and the 2-inch prop O4 build. It makes sense. This guy is on really lightweight 1102s. This is on Happy Model 1103s. This Mobula8 frame is way heavier than this Mobula7 V3 frame. And then the canopy situation with the ND filter. I wonder what this ND filter actually weighs. Hold on, let me see. Let's pop this guy. Look how easy these ND filters are to take off, right? Bayonet mounts are the shit. Twist it a little bit, pops right off. The ND filter itself, it's not very heavy. It's not even coming up on the scale. 0.6 of a gram. It keeps zeroing out the scale. All right, so let's do this. So we'll weigh that. 50.8, 50.7, 51.1. So 0.4 of a gram. That's really light. I thought for sure this ND filter would be at least a full gram. That's pretty cool. I really dig that. So yeah, I'm putting this back on because the whole point of doing this is to be able to run the ND filters and have kind of sort of the world's lightest Cinewhoop, right? Like the O4 Lite is stupidly good. Like just outrageously good. And one of the main missing pieces has been well, one of the main problems has been jello, and the missing piece to fix the jello realistically is an ND filter. Hopefully this canopy is good. I haven't run it yet. A little bit of movement here. I'm tempted to screw these screws down a little bit farther. Man, I really wish I had a 0.9 millimeter drill bit. Hold on, let's see if eBay's got my back on this. .9 millimeter drill bit. What do you got? 15 bucks. Let's sort by nearest first, as we always do. 15 bucks. Tamiya fine pivot drill, 0.9. Oh man, how do I not have... I have a bunch of drill bits in here, but I know they're all almost 1 millimeter. So what is this one? This is 0.47. These are leftovers from when I was figuring out the exact right diameter to drill the props out for them to fit properly. So we've got 0.47. We've got 1.47. Yeah, okay, 1.47. This is a reamer. This is not a reamer. Oh, this is actually a tap. This is an M1.2 tap. I guess I can't use that. This is 0.99. And this is 1.46. Shit. Yeah, so I don't have it. I don't have a drill bit small enough. That's a shame. 15 bucks for a drill bit is a bit much, man. I'm going to run it as is, and if it ends up being too fragile, then I'll dive down that rabbit hole. Some of the frames on the bottom, you'll be able to see where that round cylinder comes down. This is not one of them though. Like look what the bottom of this frame looks like here. And you know, it might come down on top of this big thick chunk of plastic here, right? Like see where the grommet sits? I think it actually kind of does. So for this Mobula8 frame, I don't actually think that you can drill down through. I mean, you certainly could. You could certainly drill down through this, but it's yeah, that's a lot. I don't know. These M1.2 by 12s are probably totally fine. So there we go, man. That's looking pretty good, dude. These propellers... Sorry, wrong camera. These propellers have to go. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull them off right now. Oh, shit. On these motors, which are 11,000 kV, these props make okay thrust, but they don't make quite enough thrust. What you really want are the tri-blade versions of these. The GemFan, what are they, 2023, I think? Pretty sure that's what it... If you're going to pull props directly off like this, don't twist them. If you twist them, you run the risk of slipping the motor shaft on the bell. If you pull them straight up and off, you want to pinch the bell, and then you want to pull them straight up and off. If you're doing that, the pulling force that you're putting on the motor shaft, it's okay because there's a C-clip down the bottom. So you're not actually putting all that much, if any, strain on the motor shaft. This is one of the nice things about these 2-inch props, is that you don't need a prop tool. You can just pop them straight off with your grizzly paws. Also known as bare hands. You see what I did there? So this is my bag of 2-inch props. Oh! We're going to get to do a little bit of prop testing. There are some new 2-inch props. HQ 2 by 1.5 by 2. Probably not going to be pitchy enough, basically. 2 by... Oh, wow. They also have a 2 by 0.9. This will definitely not be pitchy enough. Oh, that's right. HQ also now has a quad blade. We are absolutely going to try these out. I might even try these out first. These are 2 by 1.9 by 4. We're going to try these out first, yo. These 1103 motors are grunty as hell. I probably won't stick with these quad blades because they're going to be very grippy, and I don't necessarily want all that grip outside. But if I put them on now, I can try them, and then I'll move to something else. Probably the GemFan triblades. So yeah, cool. We're definitely going to try these HQ quads. That's great. The biblades that I just took off are GemFan 2015s, 2015. So these HQs are 2 by 1.5s, same pitch. These GemFans are big and thick and beefy. These HQs are ultralight. These are probably going to make less thrust than the GemFans, and the GemFans already don't make quite enough thrust. I wish that these Happy Model 1103s were like 14,000 kV or 15,000 kV. Then these guys would be absolutely perfect. But they're not. And so the tri-blades are really, really good. I'm going to hit the tri-blades in a second here. I haven't really dug around much for 1103 motors. There's probably an 1103 motor. Does anybody know of an 1103 motor that's even 12,000 kV or 13 or 14 or ideally 14 or 15,000 kV? Anybody know one of those offhand? These are GemFan Hurricane 2008. Don't run these. Not enough pitch, and I think they're kind of out of balance too. These are GemFan 2009 by 3s. Don't run these. Not enough thrust. I think they're out of balance as well. Here we go. Here are the GemFan Hurricane 2023S. It's important. The S is important. There was an old school GemFan 2023 that was not very good. The dead giveaway is that it's set up for T-mount. It's got a big-ass hub on it with 3 holes, right? The center hole and then the 2 T-mount holes. That's not what you want. You want these 2023 S's. These props are awesome. I wish they made them in more colors than nosebleed yellow and smoke crotch gray, but it's fine. Smoke crotch gray gives it that professional look. So we've got 2 clockwise and 2 counterclockwise. Should I mix and match? Now we'll do all smoke crotch gray. Morton Upshot says a hot needle might be able to melt a hole. It won't be perfect, but the screw will do the rest. It's actually a really good idea. I already have it all the way together, though. If one of you guys is following along and doing a similar build, and you do the hot needle thing, let me know if it works. Kevin Sumner says, how much kV did you say? Happy Model has 1103, 11,000 kV. Yep, that's what's on here right now. 14,000 would probably be about perfect for these 2015 propellers. The other thing that's happening here is I just added a bunch of weight. You know, this build was perfect. Not perfect. All of the prop testing that I've done on this build was with a significantly lighter canopy setup. And so, yeah. Who knows? I might need to run these quad blades for the extra power, for all I know. Kevin Summer says, does not exist. Step up the voltage? I guess. Probably not, though, because I'd have to go up to 3S, and I don't think I'm going to be able to find a 3S battery that fits in this battery bay. You know what I mean? I think we're kind of stuck here. But all things considered, these GemFan 2023S's are really, really good. And this thing made loads of power before. So I bet you we'll be fine. But, you know, in a perfect world, if there is an 1103 that's a high enough kV, it's not going to have motor plugs, which is probably a good thing. This build is now making enough power where these motor plugs are probably holding it back. Like, but boy, tiny whoops that are direct soldered are a total pain in the ass. This particular one on this particular frame would be an absolute nightmare because I can guarantee you that the motors will not fit through this hole here in the frame, which is where you will need to fit them through if you're going to take this AIO out of here. And so like this build with direct soldered motors is going to be put the AIO in here all janky like, bolt the motors down, run the wires up, try to solder the wires here, and then you got to push the AIO down, and then like God forbid you break the frame. If you break the frame, you got to desolder all 4 of the motors and resolder all the motors in the new frame. Fuck that, yo. This is a perfect example of why motor plugs are awesome. Because with these 1103 motors being this big, they won't fit through the hole that they need to fit through. You could maybe like mount the flight controller upside down or something like that, but you've got the O4 VTX right on top of it, so probably not. This is like the one major pain in the ass with tiny whoop builds is that you got to fit shit through the hole in the frame. And, you know, with a really nice battery bay in here that's custom molded into the frame, that becomes a pain in the ass. But I mean, this setup, like I said, it was amazingly good before. And it had more than enough power, so I think we'll be totally fine here. I think we're going to be all right. Am I plugging this in backwards? I am indeed. All right, so we need to go like this. And I mean, like, this is even hard to just get these plugged in right now. Like, this, yeah. I love this Mobula8 frame, but it's, I mean, look, all these tiny whoop frames at this point, they're shaving grams anywhere that they can. And the frames are just getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And, you know, that's what she said. But yeah, it is tough to even plug these motors in. Let me do it over here. Maybe I'll have better luck with light. Maybe if I can see what I'm doing, it'll be a little bit easier. Well, what's not helping is that I'm trying to plug it in backwards. I don't know how I was still trying to plug it in backwards, but hey, is what it is. Okay. Let's come in here. Jeez, I remember this being a pain in the ass. I mean, luckily, once you get it, you're good. But, my God. I might actually need to use the tweezers for this. What really does help if you're struggling is to bend the wire at like a 90-degree angle like this so that it kind of comes in a little bit better. I'm starting to wonder if I'm still trying to plug it in backwards now. There we go. Like, I'm looking right at it. I'm like, no, this is right, but it just wasn't going. Okay, and now this side is even harder because the stupid XT30 is in the way, and you can't put the XT30 in the middle like we do on all the other builds because the battery takes up all that space. And so this is the easy one. I've saved the really annoying one for last. There we go. All right, let's see. There's also a chance that I'm plugging all these motors into the wrong... Nope, they'll spin correctly. Never mind. I don't know why these motor plugs are all fit. I took this apart. It was hooked up to this. I don't know why these are all... They were... the wires coming out of the plugs were all 90 degrees the wrong direction. Oh my God. The other issue is that the wires on these 1103 motors are the perfect length. And when they're the perfect length, they're not quite long enough for what I'm doing right now. Once it's together, it's great because there's not a whole bunch of extra wire all over the goddamn place. But in this moment right now, I wish that they were a little bit longer. Come on, you rat bastard. Get out of there. Oh my God. Come on now. This is brutal. Go, 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 go. There, it's almost there. What's the worst build that you've ever had to do this on? There are certain builds, certain frames, certain AIOs that this is... There we go. That this is really hard to do it on. What's... share your horror stories, friends. There it is. Cool. All right. Now we're good. And so now you just want to move these motor wires as close to a standoff as you possibly can, so that they're blocking the least amount of thrust possible. It also looks better. And so we're going to push these. I usually push them outwards here, but in this case, I'm going to push them in this direction. This does matter. The things below the motors that are blocking thrust absolutely matter. The fractal frames are a perfect example of that. You get significantly less thrust and less efficiency because of the carbon fiber down below the ducts. There we go. Neat and tidy. Hey, I went to a dermatologist about my banged up ass finger and gave them $90 to tell them, for them to tell me, yeah, you're fucked. It's going to be like that forever. There's not a goddamn thing we can do. So that was kind of annoying because, like, I did a little bit of research on the internet, and everything was like, yeah, if you damage the nail bed, you're screwed. And I was like 99% sure that there was nothing that they could do, but, you know, in talking to enough people about it, enough people were horrified by the fact that I didn't go to the hospital or anything. And eventually that got to me, and I was like, well, it's looking pretty fucking janky. Maybe they can do something, but nope. She's like, she was like asking me what happened, and then I was, you know, blah, blah, blah. She was super nice. And then I was like, you know, I hate to be that guy, but I did a bunch of research on like Reddit and the internet and whatever, and I think what I did is damage the nail bed. And she's like, yep. And I was like, everybody kind of says that there's really nothing that's going to happen, but I figured I would at least come in and ask you if there's like any kind of stem cells or anything that can be done. She's just like, nope. It's just going to be like that. She's like it's probably going to take like 6 months for it to grow out, but you're never going to have a fingernail on that side, and there's always going to be like a dent there where you just cut a chunk of your finger out. I was like, oh, fucking A, man. And I was like, is it going to hurt forever? And she's like, nah, it won't hurt forever. She said, like, apparently, like, in our fingers, we have a different kind of nerve ending that is just basically more sensitive. It makes sense, right? Like, we have a lot of, like, we can feel things better in our finger than, like, here. And so that's why it hurts so bad, is because, like, I annihilated a million of those nerve endings. So, yeah. Either use a pre-arm or don't get complacent with anything bigger than like 2S, even maybe 2S stuff. It's, our propellers are really sharp at the ends and they will fuck you up. And there are certain parts of your body, like right exactly here, that if you damage them, they don't just miraculously heal themselves. And yeah, I got complacent. I've been flying so much Tiny Whoop for so long that I just, all of the safety things that I'd stacked up that kept me safe for years and years and years and years weren't stacked up anymore. And I got bit. And like, if you're sitting there being holier than thou, like, oh, that'll never happen to me, I got fucking news for you. If you're into FPV for long enough, it's gonna happen to you. I promise you. And so, yeah, it's just a thing. I don't know a single person that's been into FPV for like 5+ years that hasn't gotten bit at least once. A lot of times you kind of get away with it, and like it happens, somewhere that doesn't matter as much, but not all the time. So yeah, set up a pre-arm. Never zero out your throttle. Like when you land, don't zero your throttle out, right? Land at like 10% throttle and just disarm it and just let it fall down. Don't bring the throttle all the way down. Don't let your transmitter swing. Unclip it and put it on the ground, put it on the back of your car, I like the ground better because the back of your car, it might fall off. The main thing though, to be really honest, the absolute biggest thing is to never, ever, 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 ever pick up a quad that's plugged in. You treat a quad that's plugged in like a hand grenade with the pin pulled. And so like you take your not plugged in quad, you put it where you're going to launch it from, you plug the battery in, and you run like hell. And then when you're done flying, you come back over to it, and you I literally used to like with 5-inch rigs, I would literally like only plug and unplug the battery with my arms locked out so that it was as far away from my face as possible. But the big thing is like you put it down, you plug the battery in, it is now dangerous. When you're done, you come back over to it, you unplug the battery as safely as you possibly can, and then you pick it up. You never, ever, ever, ever wave a quad around in your hands that's plugged in, or hand launch it, or do any of the other dumb shit that we've all done because it's cool to be reckless and stupid. So yeah. Whatever. It's fine. At least it didn't happen to like my thumb or my index finger or like a finger that would affect the way that I fly. This doesn't affect the way that I fly at all. It looks ridiculous, but it has no effect on my flying, and that's the most important bit. Jason Levin was feeling the pressure to direct solder his motors, but keeping the plug sounds way more reasonable now. Yeah, it really does, man. I know what you mean. I always feel the pressure. Everybody always makes me feel like an idiot for not direct soldering motors. But then there's a build like this, and I'm like, oh, wow, thank God. And also, just, you know, like, look, if you have direct soldered motors, you are not... I over-drilled this propeller a little bit. You are going to run banged-up-ass motors for much longer. If your motors are on plugs, the only barrier to swapping a fresh motor in when they start to get banged up, is the money. And so, like, for real, there's something to be there's a lot to be said for keeping the motors on the plugs. For me, if I'm absolutely desperate for more performance, that's the only time that I'm going to start doing the direct soldering. All the way up until that point, though, it's motor plugs, bro. It's just so much more convenient. So the first propeller that I did, so this is my pin vise. I sell these on Etsy. I've got a 1.47 drill bit on one side and a 0.99 millimeter drill bit on the other side. Every single time you're about to put a propeller onto a tiny whoop, you take that propeller and you run it up and down one of these drill bits a couple of times. How many times you run it up and down the drill bit is how much material you remove. The first propeller, these are brand new props to me. I don't know what the inner diameter is. That first one, I ran it up and down the 1.47 millimeter drill bit 3 times. I put it onto the motor. It was a little bit too loose. This second one, I only ran up and down the drill bit twice. And this one will probably fit with just the right amount of pressure. Let's see. Still a little bit too loose, actually. So this next one, I'm only going to run it up and down this drill bit once. You want some pressure when you put these propellers onto the motors. You don't want a lot. And so that's only running it up and down there one single time. Now let's try it. Different motors have different thickness motor shafts. I know they say 1.5 millimeters, but some of them are 1.49, some of them are 1.51. What I didn't do is just take one of these propellers and try to put it on the motor. That's what I'm going to do with this fourth one. And I think it's going to fit perfect. I don't think I needed to drill these out, actually. Nah, see, it's too tight. It won't even go down. These props were actually really hard to get onto that drill bit. Now, there, it just got started. Let's see. Hold on. The big thing you don't want to do is push down too hard, because that's how you slip the motor shaft. Now, yeah, see, that's too tight. Yeah. If you run the propeller down the drill bit without turning it, it actually takes more material off. So this time what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn this drill bit backwards while I run the propeller down, and I'm not going to run the propeller all the way down the drill bit. I'm just going to run it halfway down here. The drill bit just peeked out the top of the propeller. Now I'm going to take it off. And now let's see. Yeah, it's still a little bit too tight there. This is how you, like, perfectly... And what's cool about, like, yes, right now this is annoying, but now I know the exact number of times for this particular propeller that I need to do this. And so this isn't nearly as big of a deal as you might think it is. So I'm just going to run it a little bit more. I am going to turn it a little bit, but now I'm going to take it right back off. And I think that's perfect. Yeah, there we go. That's just right. The other ones might actually be fine. But yeah, there we go. Oh, this is actually going to be even heavier now that it has propellers on it. So yeah, this is DJI O4, so I don't have a way of playing it through the actual live stream itself. But the 2-inch DJI O4 build is good to go. It's probably 52 grams dry. Let me give you an all-up weight with my favorite batteries. My favorite batteries for this setup are these Flywoo 2S 420s. That's right. I said the weed number. Yuck it up, fuzzballs. So dry weight with the ORT Micro V, probably the heaviest propellers because they have the most blades. Mobula8 O4 AIO. Mobula8 O4 transplanted into a Mobula8 frame with the Happy Model 1103 11,000s, the quad blade HQ props, and this canopy that I put a link. I put the canopy file in my my Discord 3D printing text channel. Oh, it's. I thought it said 180 grams. I was like, how fucking heavy are these propellers? No, it moved over into ounces. And the decimal point was in the wrong spot. There's grams. 51.2. With the battery, this thing's getting fat, bro. 72.7. This thing's getting heavy. Was it 60 something grams back in the day that it was on that old canopy? It must have been. I know how to test this. This canopy is only a little bit heavier than this one. And so this canopy setup is 4.1 grams, and then I have an extra. Where's that extra Happy Model canopy? Here it is. So 4.1. 4.1. This canopy is a little bit heavier versus the Happy Model canopy, which is a gram. So 3 extra. This thing. Okay, now it gained 4 or 5 extra grams. Wow, I didn't realize it was so heavy before. Did I add weight anywhere else? I guess the propellers. No, so I only really added like 5 grams. That's a lot of weight to add just for an ND filter, though. That sucks. You know what I mean? But I'll bet you I don't notice that extra 5 grams all that much. Maybe I will. You never know. But damn, dude, we are ND filtered up. This build I'll knock out tonight after the stream. The ELRS antenna actually broke off, so I'm gonna have to replace that. And then, actually, I won't knock this build out. I already figured this out. I need to run a bead of E6000 around this camera. Let me actually show you that. If you get an O4 Lite, here is an absolute required mod. Do not get carried away and just put this thing into a build and start flying it. You will break it. This little daughter board here on the camera, Ian Madstech has a video about this, but basically, this little secondary PCB here that they've connected to the main PCB that then gets the camera plugged into it, this breaks down in here. This is very fragile right down in here. So you need to run a bead of something around here. I've been using E6000. E6000 is kind of squishy. And so it would probably be better to use something else. And you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to use Bondic, actually. Bondic is this UV reactive stuff. And when Bondic dries, it dries really hard. And so I was using E6000 before, because under the thought process of like, if I need to remove the E6000, I will be able to. E6000 is like really easy to kind of peel off, and it comes off in one big chunk, and it's really, really nice in that respect. But I broke one of the the camera on the one that I sent back to DJI. They let me know that the camera is what broke on it, and so E6000 is certainly better than nothing, and you're going to run a bead all the way down, all the way around the side, and then all the way down the top as well. So you end up with a lot of E6000 in there, and so it's probably fine to use E6000, but in the interest of science, let's use Bondic, because, again, when Bondic dries, it dries hard as a rock. And that's kind of what we want here. So Uh, I don't know if Bondic is like Kleenex. Like we don't call them bath tissues anymore, right? We call them Kleenex. I don't know if Bondic is like the main brand or whatever, but um, you can probably just search eBay or Amazon for like UV reactive glue and find a bunch. This is kind of cool because I can finish this tonight. Since this is UV reactive glue, this will be cured in but a moment. So a nice thick bead all the way around here. It's not like any of this stuff is fixable anyway, so who gives a rat's ass if we're putting something that's less removable, you know? So, and like DJI didn't fix it and send it back to me. They just sent me a new one. So, whatever. And so they give you a little UV LED. You shine it on there, and it cures it the majority of the way. You still do want to like let this sit for a while before you go pounding on it. Although this is great for like in the field repairs because after you hit it with this UV, it really does harden up quite a bit. The other thing I liked about E6000 is it's like gelatinous. This Bondic is a little bit more loose, and so it's not stacking up quite as well, although no, it's totally fine. I take that back. It's completely fine. I got plenty of it in there. So that's the bottom part. I then bend this cable really gently out of the way. You got to do this anyway because of how these sit in the canopies. So just do this nice and gentle here. Get it out of the way. And now you're going to come up top. Let me try to give you a different, more close-up camera angle of me doing this side, although there's not a whole hell of a lot to see. And it's probably not going to focus anyway. But you're going right in here. Don't go up on the top there where the connector is. You're going down here between these two boards, between the main PCB and the little daughter board. Don't get it up by that connector or you'll never be able to unplug the camera. So right down in there. And then off on the side here. There's a much bigger gap on the side, so it really kind of drinks it in. Drinks it up. You're probably not going to remove the camera anyway, all things considered, because like it's going to break, you're going to send it back to DJI. Although maybe not. It's certainly looking like the fascists are going to ban DJI in this country, which is going to be really shitty. But I guess luckily we've got Walksnail, which is pretty good. The Walksnail stuff is pretty good. Fucking Skydio, man, disgusting. Skydio, man, I've been reading more and more about unusual machines being a big part of the push, being involved in the push to get DJI out of the US. That feels really, really awful. But, you know, greed, bro. As long as each individual person makes as much money as they possibly can, fuck everyone else. Oh, wait, that doesn't work ever in the entire history of man? Oh, shit. If only someone had screamed it from the rooftops forever. If only it's detailed in every single history book ever. We just didn't know, bro. We just didn't know. I was just, you know, it's about me and mine. What could go wrong? Cue vomit sound. We are some button-pushing fucking shaved apes, are we not? Just keep making the same mistakes every 100 years. Same dumbass mistakes over and over and over again. When will we learn? All right. With Bondic, make sure you get the cap on. It's like it does cure with air. It's not just the UV that cures it. So clean the tip off. If you want it to last a while, clean the tip off and get the lid on there tight. Bondic is interesting stuff. I wish I could use it for everything. I wish it maybe was, I don't know. It is nice that it dries 100% hard. I was about to say I wish that it didn't dry quite as hard, but then you would just use E6000. E6000 and Bondic are absolute necessities in your toolbox, and you're going to use them for very specific things, right? If you want that joint to be super hard, or if you want it to be a little bit gooey and more removable. The Bondic is removable, but like, boy, is it tough. It is really tough to get it off, and it feels like when you're getting it off, it's gonna rip components off. Like it just, but at the same time, I've had Bondic just kind of pop off before. E6000 never comes off until you pull it off, and then it comes off beautifully. But yeah, Bondic is really nice stuff. Get you some. Bondic comes with a little UV light, and then yeah, essential tool. Get two. Get one for your toolbox and one. I need to buy a second one. One for your go bag, because you can cure it right away. If you're in the field and you've got a UFL that pops off, put it back on and Bondic that shit. Hit it with the UV, and then it won't come off again. When you get home, you can try to pull the Bondic off. That's what I kind of worry about with it. So there we go. That one's prepped with a harder curing material. Maybe this camera will be invincible. We will certainly find out, because this is the camera that's going on the 1.6-inch build that I'm gonna batter the living shit out of. I am gonna use the Mobula8 O4 canopy that is molded and is pretty strong, but it broke. Like, I've already had one camera break, and that camera was E6000, so this will actually be kind of cool. I did abuse it quite a bit. I crashed the shit out of that thing before it broke the camera. So this will be, I'm actually really curious to see what happens here. There was a little piece of antenna on the table here, which has vanished, which probably means that it like stuck to my forearm and is now in Never Never Land. Oh well, let's fly a couple. Oh, there's a charged battery. Let's fly one battery. Oh my god, there's two charged. Why are these all charged? Nope. Let's fly two, maybe three batteries. Nope. Two, maybe three batteries. Let's fly two batteries. Oh shit, hold on. Let me get caught up on chat. Well, I'll get caught up on chat while I'm flying. Dave S says, thoughts on 1202.5, 11,000 kV 2S on that. Too much motor. You don't need any more than an 1103. Also, think about ratios. 1103, 3, 6, 9, 12. Perfect ratio. 3 3/4 to 1 ratio on an 1103. 1202.5, 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, 12.5. That's almost a 5 to 1 ratio motor. 1202.5 is going to be for like some kind of like a weird heavy lift rig, which I guess you could maybe argue that this kind of is, but like I don't think there are any 1202.5s that have motor plugs. I could totally be wrong, but long story short, I will take an 1103 with a ratio of width to height on the stator of 3 3/4 to 3 2/3 to 1 over an almost 5 to 1 ratio motor. Unless for some reason you want to fly this thing like nose down, 80% throttle the entire battery, then the 5 to 1 motor is going to be a better bet for you, right? So it's it is about you as a pilot. Hey, also, the other cool thing that I'm going to do on this rig, speaking of motors, I almost forgot. I bought one RCinPower 1003 10,000 kV motor. And what I'm going to try, this AIO, I certainly hope it has black box. I'm pretty sure it has black box. I'm going to put just this one motor onto this build, and then I'm going to do some black box logs, and I'm going to send them to Brandon's Baked Beans and say, we already talked about this a little bit, and we're going to take a look if in the black box logs you can see if one motor, if this one motor is making more or less power. Basically, in the black box logs, it shows you how much power the PID loop is putting into each individual motor. And so, if I hover this thing and go full throttle with this one different motor, I think, so this has 1103s on it. This is a 1003. In theory, the 1003 should make less power. So what we should see on the black box log is that whichever channel this motor is on, the PID loop should be pushing that motor to 100%, and the rest of the motors down at like 85%, 90%, that kind of thing. There's an awful lot of variance if it's windy, if I don't hover it perfectly flat, right? If it's off to the side a little bit, this motor might need to do more work than the others. But it's a $12 experiment that I figured I would do that could help us choose motors, right? Like, thrust stands are great and all, but once you have a motor up in the air and the platform is moving through moving air, it reduces a lot of the strain on the motors versus a static thrust stand where the quad is bolted down, right? We don't fly these things bolted down. We fly them in the air. And the faster they move forward, the faster the incoming air is coming on in. And so thrust stand data is a little tricky because it's not the actual situation that these things fly in. Basically, a thrust stand works a motor harder. And so when you're looking at thrust stand data, if there's a motor that's kind of like overheating or falling behind, when it's actually up in the air, that motor might be absolutely perfect. If you do all of the R&D on the thrust stand, you're not representing the actual situation that these things are flying in, right? And so it kind of makes sense to, if you're comparing 5 different motors, it kind of makes sense to go with, if there's one motor that's doing really well but it's heavier, and then there's a motor that's lighter weight and it's doing almost as well, go with that lighter weight motor, because in the air, it's going to have less stress put on it, and it's probably going to be able to wind up as nicely as that motor that's doing a little bit better, right? And you're going to have a lighter weight motor. The weight of the motors is incredibly important because it's the farthest out weight, and so every single movement has to move all of that weight for all 4 motors. And so, yeah, this could be maybe a neat way of evaluating motors. And plus, if you've got a build and you're like, man, I wonder what a set of if you've got a build on 1103s and you're like, I wonder what 1003s would be like, you can just buy one. Instead of buying all 4, putting them on, and then being like, I think it feels better, maybe, you can just buy one, do a log, look at the log, and be like, okay, this one motor is absolutely lagging behind by 10%. That's too much. I don't want that. Or this one motor is only lagging behind by like 2%. That's fine. It's a lighter weight motor. I'm going to go with that. Isn't that cool? How the fuck am I just thinking of this now? Is this, there's no way that in over 10 years of being an FPV, I've never heard of anyone doing this. That can't be. Someone has to have done this, right? I can't be the first one. There's just no way. Jason Levin just built an 85mm Mob 8 with the AIO 15. and had trouble putting it together for the same reason that I had. Cole Power says, question I had was, could you have saved part of it if you saw someone sooner? Nope. I actually specifically asked her that. I said, hey, by the way, to the dermatologist, I said, hey, by the way, if I'd come in 3 weeks ago when it first happened, would that have made any difference? She's like, absolutely not. She's like, you know, there's not a single thing that we could have done. She's like, she also said, like, you know, it was probably pretty mangled and I wouldn't have been able to see anything. She's like, now I can see exactly, because she had a little magnifying thing, the light and blah, blah. She's like, you know, right now I can see exactly what happened because you let it heal and it's not a mess. I was like, oh boy, was it ever a mess? She's like, yeah, I'll bet it was. She also said something super funny. Oh my god, when in reference to talking about how, like, I went on the internet and I was like, I was very quick to be like, I hate to be that guy, because, like, I'm sure every single doctor, every single patient that they get says, like, I looked this up online and this is the problem. So you know, if you don't tell me that this is the problem, you're an idiot, right? It must be the most insulting thing ever, right? And so I was very quick to be like, hate to be that guy, but, like, I did some, you know, what is it, WebMDing. She's, after we had that whole conversation, she's like, you know, there's nothing wrong with doing research online and Reddit as long as, you know, you approach it the way you did. She goes, I have an e-bike that I took back to the shop that I bought it from 3 times that they couldn't fix, and then I typed the problem into Reddit, and there was a whole thread detailing exactly how to fix the exact problem, which I printed out and took it back for a 4th time, and then they finally fixed it right. So, Reddit for the win sometimes. I thought that was hysterical. Cole Powers also says, and could you do what I would do, 3D print a fingernail prosthetic, put spikes on it or something? I guess, but I will have half of a fingernail. This half is fine. I only mangled the nail matrix on this side, so it'll be like half a fingernail. And what she said is that, like, the skin will kind of, like, grow into the fingernail, and it should be kind of smooth. She's like, you're gonna be all right. It's just gonna be like 6 more months of it looking awful. It looks really bad right now because, like, I still have the full nail here right before where it literally cut through the fucking nail, which is just insane. And so, yeah, once this bit grows the rest of the way out, it'll look a lot less awful. But there's, like, literally going to be a dent in it forever. See it? Ew, bitch. Denzel the Turbo says, life pro tip, don't touch a table saw either, it sucks balls. Yeah, man, there's an awful lot of people missing entire fingers from heavy machinery. Table saws probably being the biggest offenders. Cole Power says there's a reason they use the term armed and disarmed. Yeah, man, it can be as dangerous as a goon. Himox1 says, what do you think of the Flywoo new 5-in-1 and the Happy Model new 5-in-1? You know, these AIOs, the only thing that matters, as far as I'm concerned, is whether or not they're durable. Like, they all pretty much have the same sort of set of features. Some do have OSD, some don't. Some, you know, it's all about if they're durable. And, like, those are both so new that we have no idea. And so we just have to wait. We just have to wait to see if, you know, if everybody all of a sudden starts saying, for the love of God, don't buy them, they're super not durable. I regret all of my decisions. This is a BetaFPV Air. This? I watched Doug DeMuro religiously for like 6 months. And then all of a sudden one day he said, I put one of the videos on and he said, this is blah, blah, blah. And I just went like, ugh. I just cringed so hard. And that was it. I haven't been able to watch a Doug DeMuro video ever since, which is super annoying because my cousin Andrea's NSX was literally on there. And I would have, if I had continued to watch Doug DeMuro, I would have watched the episode with her NSX. I would have recognized it. he would have mentioned like Long Beach, California, and I would have texted, either text or emailed Andrea and been like, holy shit, your NSX is on Doug DeMuro, and it would have been super cool. But instead, like 2.5 years later, I visit her in Long Beach, and she's like, yeah, I sold the NSX. A local guy here actually put it on his YouTube. He runs cars and bids. And I was like, that's fucking Doug DeMuro. And she's like, yeah, you know him? I was like, everybody knows Doug DeMuro. Good lord. This is a BetaFPV Air 65 with 702 27,000 kV motors, Gemfan 35mm S biblades, Meteor75Pro frame for all the float and all of the slow action, with a E6000 together air canopy and an ORT, one of my custom 46mm ORT micro Vs. CO3 camera. Yeah, it's just an Air 65. This might be one of the prototypes, so Air 65s that they sent me. And so, like, if the VTX doesn't work perfectly... No, this isn't. This is a production Air 65 because it's got the V2 motors on it. I thought that I broke one of the motors at Castle Crash with this. As it turns out, there was just a shitload of hair in there. There was hair inside the motor, in between the bell and the stator. And so that's why motor 1 was so weak. I don't know how I picked up so much hair in this thing at Castle Crash, but I did. Maybe there was a little bit of sand in there too. But yeah, I went to swap this motor out last night, and I noticed there was a whole bunch of hair in it, and I was like, hold on. And I spent way too long cleaning the hair out of the damn thing. But it came back to life. The two rear motors still don't spin up quite as hard as the fronts, but it's nothing like it was. I mean, it was like bad. It was a mess before. It's much better now. Ugh! I couldn't decide if I wanted to go through it or under it. I'd originally planned to go under it, so I was kind of hanging on to that. Oh, that would have been pretty hot looking to back up that. Whoa! So that right there is a perfect example of how slow these 1.4-inch prop rigs are. I flew towards the dive at the... I did it again. At the speed that I can normally carry on a 1.2-inch prop rig, and it just didn't go in there. It just slowed it. You know, they're just slower. And when you come off the throttle, they slow down quicker. But man, are they fun. I really like flying these 1.4. Like, look at that hang time, man. Come on. That hang time is so much fun. Oh, stop it. Hey! Oh, let me get away with that, please. This newbie drone hanging cube is just vicious. There it is. Oh, and it caught me. It keeps catching me. It's kind of nice of it. Ooh. Oh, so close. Oh my god, what am I doing? No, don't. Oh, you fuck. It's between the handrail and the wall. Oh, don't you start beeping on me. No. Don't beep. Don't beep! Stop beeping! Stop beeping. I just want to fly 2 batteries, Fat Shark. Come on. Be cool. Cold Power says, there was a guy who used to do 3D heli tricks. One of them was to disarm above himself, let the heli fall, spin it up at the last second. You can guess how he died. No, oh my god, did he really die? Born Upshot says, I soldered the 1102 motors on my baby turtle because the plugs wouldn't fit the frame, so I used LED race wire, 9 solder points per motor. Yeah, LED race wires are such a slog when you first put them on, but after that, It's totally worth it. Oh, God. Got hung up in the sim rig. Where's Tedwardo? Oh, God, it's so dark up here. Teddy, what are you doing? I can't even see him. But he will Yep, I can hear him. He's coming. Oh, God! Ooh! Got lucky on that one. Crash prevention hooked the brother up. Ooh, that newbie drone dive happens so quick. Oh. Here he comes. Let's go get him. There he is. There he is. Coming right on over to protect me. That's a good buddy. 2 minutes and 32 seconds. That's not great. Although all of these 1.4-inch prop rigs seem to run about that amount of time. One of these days, I'll run a fresh battery on these, and we'll see what kind of runtime we get. Last battery. I hope you flew your 6 today. If you did, you're awesome. If you didn't, you're still awesome, but you won't be a better pilot tomorrow. Cole Powers says Ghostbusters. I forget what I was even talking about at 11:48. Morn Upshot says, is that the Super X HD board? If yes, what ESC firmware? Oh, boy. I don't know. I don't know, dude. Cole Power says, laugh it up, Fuzzball was Chewie in Star Wars. That's probably it. I don't remember what I was talking about. I mean, Bennett says, my Bondic... Oh, God. My Bondic gets hard as a rock, too. You Can FPV says, you think liquid electric tape would work better than E6000? Absolutely not. Throw away your liquid electric tape. It is the worst thing ever. Jamie Flies FPV uses hot glue. Works awesome. Hot glue is very similar to E6000, but I think it's a little bit more dense. So, like, yeah, hot glue would probably work a little bit better. I just have a hard time, like... I like E6000 because it comes in the little tiny, like, needle tip applicators, and you can get it... only exactly where you want it. I've never figured out a good way of putting hot glue into just the right space, if that makes sense. It doesn't help that, like, I usually use hot glue by just holding the stick and then holding a lighter up to it. Ooh. But, yeah, there's that. Oh, so close. I've all but given up on the coffee table power loop. It's just too goddamn difficult. The bottom of the coffee table is too low. Like, it's never a smooth power loop. It's always like, get it under, throw it back, recover, get my altitude figured out, and then go back under. That's not really a power loop to me. A power loop is one big... Even that, like... even that one. That wasn't a really clean power loop. That's much better. Where, like, there's not, like, a hesitation here. It's like... Whoa. It's like, you know, catch it off the floor and then go back through. Just like that. We haven't done a mirror flip in a while. Oh, I love it. A good mirror flip is just delicious. Hey, buddy. I didn't do that little thing. It did that on its own. It was saying hi to you all. Where'd the dog go? He's already laying down. What a lazy dog. I did take him for a walk though. Maybe he's just tired out. Teddy, why are you so tired, bro? Oh, look at that face. Oh! No. He's not down to act the fool tonight. Maybe he is. He's maybe getting into it. Oh, he snarled. Did you guys see it? Nah, he ain't feeling it. Oh, I went through the back. I wish that had been on purpose. That'd be pretty cool. Oh, no, this battery fell off a cliff. I went full throttle and it just went, nope. 2 minutes 37. I was hovering around a bunch. There you go, friends. Fly 4 more batteries for me. And if you do that every day, next month, you'll be a noticeably better pilot. And you'll have even more fun. You just got to do it, man. You just got to do it every day. Thanks for hanging, people. Oh, wait, no, hold on. I'm not caught up on chat quite yet. CBCBR says, don't forget CiottiFPV's affiliate link. Indeed, CiottiFPV.com has a whole bunch of affiliate links. Change your bookmarks to all of those websites to the affiliate links. That way you don't have to remember. If you don't use bookmarks and you just type the beginning of the website into your URL bar, do that and then remove the suggestion. It's going to suggest like getfpv.com. Remove that suggestion and then hit my getfpv affiliate link a few times in a row. And then next time you type get, it'll suggest my affiliate link. Kevin Summers says, just one motor. You could build a musical. You could build a helicopter. Notopola says, I actually just need one motor to replace one I just killed. Unfortunately, it's a Happy Model 702 23,000 kV motor. Yes, just 23,000. You're actually okay. Get the next. I don't think they sell those 23,000s anymore. Get the lowest you can find. I think you can get like a 26,000 kV. Put it on there. The PID loop will just not send all the power to that one motor. You'll be totally fine. Bad says, good morning from the UK. CiottiFPV and gang. We'll catch up on the stream once I've cleared emails and drank all the coffee. Jason Levin says, today you're going to show us all the quirks and features of this O4 2-inch build. Woopfox says, what are the antennas on your goggles? Skyzone Fly O4X Pro, and I've been running the stock antennas. My Fat Sharks have a Menace old school Pico that I basically got because it was purple, although Menace makes great antennas. And then this is a True RC Singularity 90-degree ultra long. It's important to have one antenna up high like this so that it is as high up and above all of the liquid in your head as possible. RF does not go through liquid very well. So having one antenna up nice and high above like your brain goo is really important. True RC antennas are roundly regarded as like just the best. So pretty much anything you buy from True RC is going to be awesome. But Menace also makes great antennas. They're a European company. And then ORT, Old Radio Transmission, also makes wonderful antennas. They are in, I think they're in Africa, actually. I could totally be wrong. They're not in America, though. They're overseas. There you go, friends. Thanks for hanging. Drunzen says, hi, Ciotti by Ciotti. You can FPV says, would liquid electric tape work better than E6000? It would not. Get rid of your liquid electric tape. It's the worst. Ginger FPV, with the last comment on live stream, I feel so much better now 2.5 weeks after the move. Thank you, sir. Meeting people is the key. Awesome, brother. Love that. I knew it would be. Be good, friends. I'll see you Friday at 7. Here's some more Castle Crashing. As a reminder, at the beginning and ending of every single live stream, I'm playing more and more of the flight footage from Castle Crash. So it's fresh footage every single beginning and ending of live streams since 2 weekends ago. Love you. Bye!